ولا يلا اشوف بيفوز اشوفك الحين.
Go down very quickly is because that all these players get worried about. But users and threats, they actually make it in. I was a little bit worried about them because, as you can see, there is a lot of congestion on this southeast side of the zone. That's because a lot of players have been rotating out of there. There's been a couple fights that went down on every single side of it. So a lot of people down there. But Yamzo and Dejin in a really good spot, especially with that little wind tunnel that they have right next to them.
Yeah, definitely don't want to fall prey to anyone here. So having this extra bits of mobility will be huge. At least having options is really what you want to be in with these kind of situations. Now look at the congestion right now. With this zone pushing far west, it's continuing to do that. So that rollover of the zone moving in the same direction is forcing players to hub on top of these little pieces of high ground. But not only that, because you're comfortable being in the zone, you start to get more and more people on top of the real estate. So this is becoming more and more of a difficult situation for Smite and Larson, though, who are pretty much leading the server right now at 4 eliminations, the most points by far. That's why you see that big beam and that glow on top of them. They're looking pretty solid here. One of the players in sight was Pamstu, just underneath. Did not see Thatch near him, so that's a little bit worrisome for someone like Pamstu. And yes, it does seem like he lost his teammate, so Pam's got another uphill battle for him as well in front of him as we're starting to approach the mid-game now.
Yeah, and here we go. We are going to have this zone start to move towards the 5th one. Now, interesting to see how these guys are actually going to make this rotate. Are they going to use the pad that they have to jump at? No, they're just going to go down and walk it. Interesting decision because, you know, you mentioned that congestion that's happening on the east side of the zone. They are also on the east side of the zone, so they are going to opt to walk with all these other players, and I'm just not sure if this is going to be able to work out for them. So we're going to have to see what happens there. They might have to panic and go ahead and use that jump pad that I know that they have from one of those eliminations that they picked up earlier.
I love this, though. This is like peak Fortnite new season in play here. They're like, hey, we don't need a launch pad because we have the mountain playing against our favor. We can just, you know, swiftly slide our way down the zone here, and it actually works out for the most part.
Yeah, that was good.
About 200 of the heavy materials, but look at this. They get into the zone. They manage to recycle some of the opponent builds, and just like that, they're inside the zone. Now they get to keep a launch pad for zone 6 after the half-in. So very nice for Reciprocal, though. Not looking too hot as Convicted and company on the other side of the wall. Too many teams are sandwiching in now. This is you know, this is more than a party. We have a parade going down right here as, again, the zone is just telling us a story in its own. There are so many players here, and another surge warning is forcing the fights. Now, if you're a team that's above the surge, and you're hearing all this action, you're probably going to jump in because you can, right? The points are equally as tempting.
Yeah, it's just one of those things, right? We get done talking about, oh, how are these players going to rotate? And instantly, as they make the rotation, the storm surge warning comes up. So these players got to constantly be worried about so many different things at once. But still, though, storm surge's problem is not solved for everybody. Still, 5 players have to go down, and half and half zone is coming up quick in only 20 seconds. And as you can see, there's only about 5 total teams in that half zone right now. So we're going to see like 20 plus teams rotating directly towards that small bit of area. It's going to be interesting to see how it plays out. But 20 over the Storm Surge going for a quick play and actually gets a knock on the Yamzo. That is huge.
Yeah, but the pickup should be able to come in here. Although the zone is starting to move right now, there's enough time to go and get that. Here's Shadow 1x right now. Also in a dire situation. Not only is Storm Surge on, but there's pressure coming in from the other side. Big knocks here for Rise and Agers, who are on fire now, looking to kind of jockey their way up to that #1 position. But OMG Me Too says, hold up, it's not over yet. You may have gotten my teammate, but you have to find me first, and these are his builds. It's his world, and he's making good control of the situation here. Wait for him to bounce back and hold on to pretty much the game at this point, as it was almost all over. And look, he slides out to the side, no big deals, but he is in the game. That's all that matters. For every team now that starts to fall after top 25, there are placement points to be made. Peterbot about to lose Quanti. Can he get the save here in time? There goes the chug spot to give him a little bit more room to breathe here. But no, here comes the asphyxiation, the big choke out from the other teams nearby. He's gonna have to give up his teammate. He takes the fight instead of backing off Vivid. Very bold move of him, but he's feeling confident. He's still here for the battle.
He is holding his ground here. 2-1 situation, editing amongst all of that, going for some shots. Very well played from Peterbot. Obviously, ultimately cannot end up saving Quanti, his teammate. But let me tell you, if I was Quanti, I'd be proud of my teammate putting up a fight for me like Peterbot just did. But a big development over here, Larson and Smite. Smite actually goes down, and Larson kind of in a similar situation as Peterbot, trying to fend for his teammate's life. Ultimately, not going to be successful. But Larson is in a good position here because he has 7 uses of the web shooter, and we're going to see that immediately come into play as long as he gets it off. Yeah, he almost got caught by somebody there as if they were fishing for him, but he's good. He's chilling. He's got 150 total HP after you use that med miss there, so he should be in a good position.
Look at this. Peterbot actually got a knock onto users. Man, we just saw that little clip of users in the situation, the pre-show, showing how a little insight onto users and how much knowledge he has, but even all that knowledge is not going to hold you back against someone like Peterbot who's on fire. Back over to Larson, though, who's trying to sit up. They set a crazy standard here. 5 eliminations coming into the end game already. What can Larson do now that he's lost his teammate in Smite? Smite, who had the bulk of that firepower here, but these mythic hands, the spider web shooters, will allow you to travel and traverse the zone, so he should be able to steal away tons of more placement unless someone gets in the box, which just happened. But Peterbot has a story of its own going down right here. He finds Nick. That's 4 for Peterbot now, who is on fire, bringing his team up to 6 eliminations. We love to see it. Full loadout, full deck of cards in hand, except he doesn't have the ammunition. This is one of the worst situations to be in as a pro player, not having that additional pressure. He's going to see opportunity after opportunity open up in front of him and not be able to take advantage. So now comes down to strategic play, right, Vivid? He has to stay alive here, he has to play smart, and basically somehow pull a refresh.
Yeah, but look at this. We have Macwood and Donnie on top of the server. They're going to be playing for the high ground here. Very, very cool to see. We talked about them at the Daily Bugle. See how this is going to develop. Looks like they walked away scot-free. So they're going to be playing the high ground. And let me tell you, the high ground in this season is very, very strong because you have these high fire rate weapons in the MK7 and the Stinger SMG that just pressure the entire lobby down as long as you have the ammo to back it up. But Macwood looking like he's only running on 40 AR bullets right now. But Peterbot, again, look at him. He is still thriving on the low ground, finds himself in a stable position with 17 builds left. The moving zone is about to move, though. He's got 5 seconds until he's got to make a decision on where he's going to go next, and it doesn't look like he has an easy way out.
No, definitely not. This is all unfamiliar territory. The base stuff plays out. Yeah. It goes back in his favor. Peterbot does manage to stay alive now. He did have a couple players in his line of sights here. Can he find an elimination is the real question. Dusky on the front side of the zone looking very comfortable, but it's Peterbot, our current lobby leader who has the most points just off of Elan's alone. Still up, still holding on. In comes someone into the box, and no, it's Okiss, someone who is deadly with the rifle, barrel stuffs him and gets him out of here. Iamsa goes down as DJ goes for the high ground play. It's a 1v2 situation into the box. It's not enough. He gets shut down as well. Macwood and Donnie have been gifted the high ground for free all this time. For free, just coasting along here. Plenty of material as well. Here, Vivid, listen, this is a comeback situation for Donnie and Macwood. Are we watching the development of a tough day yesterday, but a comeback run now?
You know, I think so. They are definitely probably guaranteed, hopefully not Caster Kirsten for the first time here, but they're probably guaranteed like top 3. Though it is worrisome because they don't have a lot of ammo to pressure the rest of the lobby, so it could be a potential for the low ground to actually win this game. But play using the web shooters there to grab them like a harpoon does, grab some mats real quick, so that's cool to see. But as this lobby develops, we can see a lot of players playing that low ground now. We can see Golden there in the middle layer, find himself through some old builds, going to be keeping himself safe, which is awesome. Baka, though, trying to play the low ground against Dusky, but Dusky is doing well in preventing them from rotating, which is really, really good because you want to claim as much space as you possibly can.
Here comes Chucky sweeping around the side here. Our current point leader, right? So we had the camera on top of Peterbot for quite some time, but Chucky says, put it on us here. As Glace and Chucky already have, make that 8 eliminations. I was going to call 7, make it 8 as they find Dusky in the low ground. So Glace is definitely picking up the refresher that they need. Now, no more material, though. Chucky gets rolled up from behind and steamrolled by Golden there. Oliver, though, does have a win condition, right? So this is a team with a true win condition. They have the mythic hands, Playify and Oliver, but Golden's trying to see what he can do. He's playing the zone right now. Very smart for him to just go ahead, take his time here, try to squeeze out some placement points. And this is going to come down to the element of surprise, but a little late. One choke build could be enough. Here comes the swing in. It's a 2v1. Shut down. 3 more points for Oliver, OG, and Playify. Macwood and Donnie have done an exceptional job of pretty much coasting their way across the height, but can they close out now as they're out of builds here? This is
there we go.
Donnie, good enough, quick enough, and hits the shots that he needed to close that game.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I was worried there. I was watching them on the high ground. He was running out of SMG bullets, and he had no builds left either, but they ended up doing enough damage to Oliver and Playful, especially Golden there as the solo. He was coming in, kind of created a distraction to where he could open up some angles for Macwood and Donnie to actually fail on, and Macwood and Donnie controlling the high ground for what it looked like for that entire endgame, and they just coasted straight to that first victory route of the day.
And one thing we're not seeing very much of this season or this chapter so far is high ground retakes. Although we have launch pads in play, although we have mythic web shooters in play as well, people have been way more passive with the high ground. Could just be the result of new names, new rosters hopping on up, and maybe people are still getting comfortable for this new season.
Yeah, I mean, there is a whole new meta. It's a whole new chapter, a bunch of items. Speaking about all the stuff that went down that game, I'm excited to see what the desk has to say about it. Man, usually I'm on the other side of this, but let's see what the boys on the desk got for us.
I can't believe it. I'm catching from Vivid. This is awesome. I can't believe this is fantastic. What a day. What a day for me personally. That was incredible. Obviously, we saw Donnie and Macwood there claiming high ground. And again, similar to Qualifier 1 here, SPG, we saw that there was not really anyone trying to contest them for that high ground. They were kind of there to reign free and just enjoy their time until endgame, and they won it through.
Yeah, it's really funny. You see Bucky and Cam, they move on. Now, Macwood, Donnie landed in the same spot, playing the same exact high ground strategy, taking it early and just holding it throughout the entire end game. Hey, maybe someone knows the recipe for success here, Sundown.
I mean, it feels like teams don't want to risk the opportunity of going up and challenging the already established high ground. But with high ground just winning out, you have to feel like there might end up being just a little bit more of a contest, a little bit more sense of urgency when that 5th zone, the half in, half out is revealed. If so many points are just basically being given away for the fact that you're 3 or 4 layers above, like, not only hasn't there been somebody going up and challenging, there hasn't even been shots thrown up in that direction.
Yeah, it's great to see as well. You can actually, from that high ground as well, with the weapons on with the MK7, the SMGs, you can maintain that high ground, and it's very hard to challenge unless you do use the likes of the mythic web shooters to get around the back. I mean, looking at standings now up as well. I mean, it was great to see the likes of Peterbot, who managed to just withstand it on the low ground, just keep going, keep managing to get as many points as possible, be it eliminations or placement points for his duo. Let's see how it affects standings. SPG, this is how it looks after game 1. Walk us through.
No surprise, our top 2 placing teams in match number 1, we got Donnie and Macwood in first place after the victory royale. They got 6 elims, you got Oliver, Playify. They were on the low ground. They had 1 extra elim, but finished in 2nd place. And then Glace and Chucky holding out our top 3. Only 1 point behind, and it's a good start today. A lot of close teams up in that top 10.
Yeah, and I think the Glace and Chucky scoreline is very telling of just how important eliminations are. While they were able to rack up a bunch of placement points as well, the fact that they are 2 elims above basically the rest of the pack at that 8 there, the plus 24 points just on the back of eliminations right there shows that, hey, if you're able to rack up a couple of those and then just get a few placement points on top of it, you're going to be competitive.
That's absolutely right. I mean, we look at 11th and 20th place here as well. Already teams, even in the back of the pack here, are starting to score points because we all know, SPG, just how important it is, regardless of what game it is. There's only 6 games here. They have to score as much as possible. And even if it's not the last few games, the first few are so key in a format like this.
Every single point matters, and we saw that at the end of the day yesterday, where the last, I guess 18 teams were all within 1 solid game where they could have pushed into that top 8. So again, that first game matters so much. Even if you're just able to get 10 points, that could be the difference. And that elim that you just knocked somebody out, you're pushing them down lower. So it's very, very important how this all plays out.
I mean, NAE so far has been the story of the tiebreakers. Every point, every interaction mattering. I think yesterday, if you ended up looking, it was like 2nd through 7th were within like 6 or 7 points of each other all the way across the board. So you have to be doing every little thing right. And starting off in match 1 is a great way of doing it, but you got to keep rolling.
Yes, right. That's absolutely right. And you ready? You hear the bus is beeping as well, which means game number 2 is ready to rock and roll. Let's head over into the game and see what happens next.
There we have it. Game number 2 is underway here and now. It's time to kick things back off. Onto the battle bus we go. Big victory royale for Macwood. They needed that. Yesterday was such a tough day, or I should say qualifier. I keep saying yesterday, but lucky for us, we had a nice little relaxing day, unless you play the cash cups, but you guys get it. The Daily Bugle is the hot spot. On the screen, though, Vivid, Sprite, and Pies back at it again. This is an interesting spot to be fighting for. Now we get the first glimpse of the action here.
Yeah, quick reminder, if you guys remember, Rise clutched up, and look at this, he is already doing work right off the spawn. Quick knock on the Nounsy. Sprite picks up, finds the shotgun on the floor loot, and actually picks up both of those eliminations, saving Nounsy there. Oh, actually, Nounsy got one of those eliminations. I didn't even see that go down, so apologies there, but Sprite and Nounsy winning over Rise.
It's funny that you say that. I was thinking to myself in that situation, Rise, back up, finish the down body, get your 3 points, get the siphon. He was so lit up. And unfortunately, he did not. I think he might have thought Sprite didn't have a big weapon, but he did. And here comes the other perspective. So, yeah, it was actually true. No weapon in hand, finds the striker right off to the side. Makes it look nice and easy right there. Could not save his teammate at all. GG. So, Sprite and Nounsy have an opportunity now to bounce back. After that last game, being one of the first teams eliminated, they get to give him a little bit of their own medicine. But I don't know, man. Rise was looking really good in that last game.
Yeah, Rise and Aegis actually were 6th on the leaderboard after that game. So, you know, picking up those early eliminations, they ran with it. Picked up 34 total points with a total of 6 eliminations. So 4 more were found after the off spawn. But here, Covert Cavern, right? Big developments over here, right? Because you have the element of the vault, which, oh, dang, got to be a little bit careful about your angles there. He is actually going to be finding a big pot right out of that chest, though. We'll be right back to full shield, but he does have that key card, so interesting to see how he plays this.
And just take a look at the map, right? We have 2, 3, 4 teams housed up in this general area, the Covert Cavern. Looking at the draw spot map, you wouldn't have thought this would be the situation, but this is what happens when teams want to switch it up. Teams want to contest one another and or just rotate in for a little bit more, getting a bit greedy for some loots. On the other side, another fight we did not get to see in the early game, but definitely had the pleasure of watching the feed go down. It's Tabney and Death taking up the fight here once again against Shoney and Polo 13. A little bit of a split situation here between Tabney and Death, though. Trying to change up the spot now. I think they realize there's a player off in the outskirts as well, so big danger lurking by.
Yeah, good on Tabney there. As we were speaking that last game, we were talking about the contest that was going on. You know, you got to be careful about what you do with your early game, because again, we can see a similar situation where they're just kind of sitting on top of the enemy builds and not really doing anything. But Death, though, going for a play, finds a quick edit, gets some return damage, though. Going to see what happens here. He does have 6 jug splashes, which is huge in a fight like this, because if you can just willingly trade some damage and then back up and heal both you and your teammate, then it's going to be in your favor. But we got to pay attention to the ammo that's going down here, right? Not a lot of light ammo, not a lot of bullets in total for either of these teams, because it's a straight up all spawn fight. They haven't looted a lot. You can see here, though, Shawnee proves me wrong. 243 light bullets for him.
This looks like they found a llama. There's no other way. They have brick, metal, everything that you need in between. Tons of ammunition. Yeah, dance for us, because you're looking pretty solid here for the most part in this defensive hold. Definitely the more, I'd say, favorable team of the two here. And they're still working their way through. So I'm more concerned for Death and Tabney, who are sitting on top of this squad here. Now, mind you, they're pretty much, you know, neck to water here as 24th in 2015. You guys are both in a tough spot. This is not a fight that y'all should be entertaining at this point. I think you extend the tournament play, maybe get on out of here, but Tabney and Death feeling a little bit confident as they're continuing to stick around here, maybe because they have the heals to work with.
Yeah, look at this. Our leaderboard leaders over here at the Daily Bugle, though. A couple of lurking players all the way on top of that hill looking in. Mackle's got to be careful if he exposes himself here. Ooh, those players up there aren't actually looking, so he's not going to get punished for that. But he's got some solid loot again. Again, those web shooters coming into play. This is what I love about the Daily Bugle, man. These webs that are everywhere, you can literally just fly around the POI. You can launch yourself up to some buildings, create some nice little sneak attacks. Because as you can see, there is actually another team here, but he doesn't necessarily seem too worried about him.
I was just saying, not only that, you can use it and then just find yourself a fresh pair, but Reciprocal says, time out, monster. Got a fight going on here. Give us some love. Give us some action. 20 Reciprocal managed to find himself an elim. Little tech play right there as he falls into the trash can to mitigate any fall damage too. So, you know, out a little bit flashy. This is a North fight. What teams are landing up here? There's a couple actually, yeah, including Magnolia and Crew. You have Slacks just nearby at the lake house as well. So this is not a free drop by any means, but they do manage to get this battle into their favor. And look at this, they walk away with 5 big pots as well. Couple launch pads. Now that you know the interface is all updated too, you can see there. This is honestly a perfect situation. Here's what we expected though between Death and Tabney, but didn't expect Death to actually clutch that right there.
Yeah, remember Tabney and Death were actually fighting over Connie Crossroads. Looks like a third party came in, which is why Death actually found that elim off here to the side. And you can see the other 2 players now, they're thinking about just going right back into the POI. Tabney and Death, though, in a pretty decent situation, throwing down, getting some shield right there. And there you go, they have the solo up there in Pure, who was a teammate of the elimination that Death found. This guy, though, he's got some pretty solid loot. If he can find his teammate's car, he's got the web shooters, maybe he can swing away, find himself a reboot van, get a quick reboot. But not a solid situation, right? You left as a solo. You know there are a couple duos around you. He's staying up here, and Tabney entertaining the idea of looking for him. Maybe he doesn't actually know it's a possibility that he's here. Tabney searching him out. Maybe a disengage coming down. Yeah, Death is walking away, but chops him out. Here we go. 150 though. Wow, Pure.
Tough shot to hit too. This is the heavy shot that we're talking about here, guys. Singular pellet that flies out of that, so you have to be deadly and spot on accurate in order to hit a big shot like that. That was as good as it gets, and honestly, what makes this weapon such a hit or miss. But hold up, big pressure coming in now. Pure, who've already lost Crunchy off the bad positioning here, now having a reset right now. Death and Tabney picked up a lot of loot from this engagement here, but hold up, an even more important team coming through. This is a fresh D-Roller and Trashy. They want to get their hands dirty here, and Pure just wants to mythic away, right? He wants to hit these spider webs and get away, but it's not looking like an easy disengage right now.
Yeah, Pure getting a little bit of his own medicine here, getting third-partied. Oh, and there we go. Who actually ended up finding that elim there is probably Trashy and D-Roller, I believe, and that's going to be huge for them. We know that D-Roller loves to be aggressive, and finding all this loot right here is going to be very beneficial. But when we think about it, you know, how much damage do they really get out of that? So we know that Pure took a little bit of damage prior to them actually taking that fight, so they won't actually get a lot of Storm Surge from that. Nonetheless, though, it helps in the long run, and here we're going to see D-Roller actually hit these shots right out of the sky. Yeah, you're not going anywhere, man.
The crazy part is that he only hit for 23, so the Trashy took him from like 125 to less than 23 HP. Because D-Roller only connected once right there, so it was Trashy who just melted. And that's what happened. You give him a pixel, they'll take him out. All right, that's how players work. So GG's for them. Trashy D-Roller, well-timed entry, come away with a much needed upgrade of loadout, but more importantly, all the mats and the 3 points as well. Back on over to the esteemed Covert Cavern. Once again, we still have about 4 duos sitting up, trying to figure out this positioning here, trying to figure out what to do with themselves in their tournament game. Because not only do they have zone, so they don't want to move, but you know, they don't have much stuff to work with either, just in terms of ammo and whatnot. So look at this, the wide shot kind of telling the story here, but I mean, that's just a ticking time bomb, if you ask me.
Yeah, a lot of players over there, and listen, when you're in a cave like that, not necessarily an easy thing to find yourself out of, but they do have the zone, so they're comfortable for a little bit. Maybe they're happy just hanging about, maybe, you know, just talking to each other, you know, trading stuff here and there. But Trashy and D-Roller, again, they got that early storm surge, so now they're going to be happy with it, right? You can see that there's 92 players left in the lobby, which means that pretty soon here, we're going to have to see 22 players drop the storm surge if nothing else changes. And they know that they got a little bit of damage, and if there's 92 players alive, that means not a lot of eliminations have happened. There's not a lot of damage has occurred, so they know that their storm surge threshold is probably going to be pretty low. But in the top left, we see Cold goes down.
Oh, not again here. Losing Cold means that Scented has, again, an uphill battle to play off of here. Yup, it's to the hands of Larson once again. Smite and Larson have their name written, and they're on the hunt here, and that's the full finish onto Cold. The counter shots come into the bush. Scented, you can hide, but not for long. That tracking's going to hit you through that bush there, and it's going to hurt every single time. Striker in hand. Oh, man, this is not looking too good right now. Don't hold your breath, guys. It probably won't last long. We've been here before. Scented putting up a good fight, though. There's hope, but odds very, very slim here, Vivid.
He's got a lot of heals, though, here. You know, 7 builds to work with as well. And that purple Stinger SMG is nothing to play around with. So if he finds a good opportunity, we know that Scented loves to practice his aiming. So he definitely will lay down some quick shots, do some good damage. But it looks like the other players are very healthy, so it's not going to be easy. He's trying to work around the builds that he has established. Again, using all of these heals that he has, making sure that he has the best chance at actually clutching this 1v2. And he hears them disengage, so he's going to go look for a quick angle. Larson's pretty close though. Oh, box! Oh, just misses.
Oh my God.
Barely slides underneath that wall right there.
That little bit of terrain change right there would have been the difference maker, but hold up, he's gotten the bear awake now. Out comes the aggression from the other side here. Scented playing mind games here, really utilizing this bush here to hide his cover, mask his position, but hold up, they're inside. They're having enough of this. The double SMG barrel stuff, and just like that, they finally take him down. For a moment there, though, they thought about it, said, all right, you know what? He's kind of hard to catch. Let's just back off and play this. But Scented, he wanted that fight. He got what he asked for.
That's when Larson and Smite, right, they walk away and they're like, man, we got the Elim, but that guy was not easy, you know what I mean? Like, that could come into play. Yeah, exactly. They're like, man, we got to give that guy more respect. I mean, obviously we know Scented, well-vetted player, but watching him in situations like that, we really understand why he is at the top.
Yeah, tough day for Scented so far. You hate to see it, but the reality of the situation is Smite and Larson, man, they are just on a different level, looking like a different breed on the field right now. And hats off to them for the success so far. I do wonder, though, what in their right minds made them come in and decide we're going to target out Cold and Scented today. Because that's something you just don't see pros do. Take on other tier 1s almost directly, as we have seen in the first two. So Scented and Cold have to make some adjustments. On to Quanti and Peterbot, who also have to make some adjustments here because they are below the surge. Peterbot, who put on, you know, honestly, the clutch pants in the shoes last game, managed to pull out an end game as a solo and led via eliminations all the way up until just roughly around the top 5. Now getting taken out, though, here. Quanti, smart play, right? Brings him off the high layer. But no, the duo's coming in. They're pushing in.
Yeah, if we're paying attention to the map, though, they're coming in quick. Cloud here with a quad crash. They're going to be breaking some of those builds, making it harder for Quanti to actually clutch this up. Ooh, player here only with a total of about 80 HP. Pretty minion up now, though. Yeah, definitely smart to heal before you actually take this engagement. We can see there, though, Peterbot trying to drop those chug splashes so that way Quanti can use them. He's going to trap them here. Yep, use them up. Make sure that you can have the best chance possible at 1v2 in this. Because if we're looking at the situation here, I don't think any of these other players here... Oh, no, he's got full HP now. Oh, and now the Storm Surge comes into play. Going to be dealing damage to Quanti because he is below. Going to be running in and trying to find an angle. These are all his edits, so he does have play potential here. Now, he's got to run it back. He's got to be aggressive against these guys because Storm Surge is still ticking.
Yeah, there it is. 104. That's going to keep him alive for a little bit. Give him a little bit of pressure, alleviation. But for a second there, I thought the jig was up. I thought Quanti was going to have to hand over the keys or something here. But he manages to find a shot that really mattered. Back into the box instead of backing off here. To try to find a better angle. The walls are already replaced. And just like that, Peterbot and Quanti get taken out to the hands of Cloud and Zayatello. So for the first time today, we're watching the big boys fall down. players that are up at the top of the standings now starting to lose their lead. That's going to make the standings honestly much more of a competitive look, at least coming into game 3 here shortly. So, my gosh, what an explosive early game so far. Much faster pace than the previous round, as we're now down to 72 players. So, someone's still in the surge right here. Yep. Shout out to observers. Can we just get a hats off for that? That's so well timed. They were just like in my mind at that time.
Dang, Click. So the only players in the lobby taking Storm Surge, we can see 72 players alive in the lobby. We know that the threshold for the first Storm Surge is 70 players, so they're actually the only 2 players taking that Storm Surge, and they're trying to out-heal it, which is not going to be possible. Clix gets stripped down by the Storm Surge, and Day is left with not a lot to work with. He's going to be trying to stay on this fire for as long as he possibly can here, but not looking too good.
Surge turned off, that's a bonus, so he has an opportunity, he has a chance. Now, a replay aside here, Nick and Beef popping off. One thing I do want to mention, guys, Clix is not retrievable via the reboot card, right? Like, what happens at that moment when you get taken out by the Storm Surge, you are completely removed from the game. It's like you did not exist. So he's been pretty much poofed out of the game. So Day is truly going to have to operate this as a solo with no shield. On over to Macwood and Donatello, young Donnie here. Kings of the Bugle so far today, and look, this is why the Bugle's so highly contested. Just take a look at the ammunition count on Macwood's loadout there. 500 light bullets for the SMG. Just such a strong spot to be in.
Oh. Yamzo and Degen, did they actually find that Elim? Yamzo found that Elim right there. Somebody lurking off in the storm. Enqua is not in a good position. He's going to check out the loot, see if anything's worth going for. I doubt it, though. That player doesn't have shield. C9 Avery, though, taking out Magnolia in the feed. Interesting development over there. We know that Avery is teamed up with Muzz. Pretty strong favorite coming into this, but they were taken out early in the last game, so looks like they will make it a little bit further than they did in the prior game in this one. Oliver and Playfly, though, yeah, they're still in second place, second only to Macwood, who we saw earlier rotating. It looks interesting, though. The west side of this is actually pretty contested, so it'll be interesting to see how all these players flood in here. A lot of eliminations coming out right now, though, and Storm Surge is not even active yet.
Yeah, people are getting active here for the rotates right now. That's what happens when this terrain is just so open. Sightlines are available, and fights are going down here. Those are desperate attempts to try to bounce into the ground here. I've not seen Day in the feed, so he's managing to somehow sneak his way around and stay alive right now as we hop on over to Glace and Chucky here. And pulled a big finish in the last round, making it all the way through to endgame. You can see they're still positioned up in third right now, poised to have a very successful next round as they have pretty decent loot, armored walls and whatnot, so plenty to play for here. And honestly, what happens now is just up to the zone gods, if you will, right? If they pull half in, half out, they're big chilling. Otherwise, they still have a vehicle close by, so looking pretty good for Glace and Chucky, setting themselves up for another possible endgame.
Yeah, what's funny about those vehicles, right? We see a lot of players praise them. They get through these mid-game rotations, early game rotations very well. You have those big off-road tires. They go pretty much anywhere. But then when you base up on a spot like this, right, like a grassy area, players will actually shoot those vehicles until they blow up. And then you have this like weird thing where all the builds around you kind of blow up, and then you got fire around you. So you got to be careful, because I think they left their vehicle pretty close by. But Storm Surge is going to be active now. We got to lose 8 players somehow before this starts to do some damage.
It's going to be tough sledding here. The more difficult situations to be in is half in, half out, and below the surge, because a lot of players, surprisingly enough, will wait until the last moment to hit their rotate, so, they won't necessarily expose themselves until it's a bit too late for Day. We wanted to know how he was doing. He's doing just fine. He's saying, you know what, I got all this metal. I'm going to flex big here. Before the half even shows itself, he cranks way up to the sky, and he has 300 damage below. This is as bad as it could get here. He quite literally needs to take a box right here, and somehow with 51 HP find over 400 damage to get comfortable, to find more opportunity to stay alive in this round. I mean, I'm going to count him out for now. We'll pay attention soon on the feed, though. Playify coming on in. This is our second place team right now. Big pressure, 30 HP as Playify forced into low ground. finds his teammate on the other side. Okay, they do manage to get with one another here. This is Squish and Aviv they go up against, and my gosh, just because they're ranked 29th in the lobby currently does not mean they cannot take out a top 3 squad, as Oliver gets met with a shotgun shot there and put down and out. That's 3 points in the hands of Aviv, just like that.
Yeah, Oliver and his teammate there, they were looking a little low on Storm Surge. They made an aggressive play. It looks like they were going to actually make it out of that one with the damage they needed, but ended up getting caught on the late shot there. Turning over to Macwood here, still in the lead. They have 2 eliminations. That's really good for the Storm Surge. They have a launch pad in the inventory. The web shooters look like both of them will just be web shooting to this next zone. Macwood gets caught up on that hill, though. What's really, really cool is I love to see these players make cohesive plays with, you know, a movement item that can be like a little bit random, right? Like you can both individually go a lot of different which ways, but they always seem to find themselves in the right spot. Like I love watching Benji and Mr. Savage make those plays. They'll call something simple like metal. And there'll be like 50 metal builds around them, and they'll both land on the same one somehow. So that cohesion is really, really important in these lobbies.
Being in tune with your teammate is grossly underrated, and there's several duos out there that can do that exceptionally well. For Iyamzo and Degen, it doesn't seem like they were having that telepathic communication as around as Iyamzo is left by himself to defend here. But hey, 3 eliminations, near top 25, right? This is